Hey everyone, Jammer here from Jammer's Wrestling Magazine Collection, and man, what an interesting few days we've had in the wrestling world, right? Um, I heard last night at work I got bombarded with texts and um, Facebook inbox messages and notifications and such. I looked at my phone and I was like, why is my phone blowing up? And friends were, messaging me and such and texting me saying, have you heard about Bray Wyatt? And I was like, no, because I haven't. I was at work. And then a buddy of mine um, named Moore, he told me that Bray Wyatt had died. And I was never like a huge Bray Wyatt fan. Um, I liked him. I liked him more in the Wyatt family, but still, a 36-year-old dude dying from a heart attack is messed up. And I remember like the first time I saw Bray was on that NXT show, and he talked about, his name was Husky Harris at the time, and he talked about how he wears his uncle Barry Windham's boots. And I love Barry Windham. So right then it was like, okay, this dude's good. And then I found out, it's clearly his dad's Mike Rotundo, IRS, and I loved Money Incorporated. So I was always rooting for Bray in a way. I just didn't care for the Fiend character and the Funhouse thing he did. I just didn't like it. I thought it was hokey and dumb. And of course, this is coming from me, a guy who sat through The Undertaker floating to the sky from a coffin at the Royal Rumble 94, but I was also, 11 years old then, and things seemed maybe a little more believable at that age. I'm not too sure, but suffice to say, it sucks that Wyndham Rotunda is dead. It just does. And I know a lot of fans out there love the guy, and I'm so sorry one of your favorites is gone. And I want to try to pay a tribute to Wyndham, but it's hard because for some reason Pro Wrestling Illustrated chose really not to write about the guy in the last 6-7 years that he's been a force in the WWE, because they rather write about what's happening in Tacula, Mexico, or whatever that place is, where, like, I don't know, some masked wrestler is wrestling another masked wrestler for a 7-star match. I don't care, right? I care about stories. And the old After magazines always had great stories, and the new PWIs don't. But I did find 2 magazines that had Bray in it. If you get this one, this is the December 2014 PWI 500. You get an awesome shot of Bray there. And he was number 6 that year in the PWI 500. His top 5 moments in the evaluation period were goaded John Cena into accepting the highest profile match of his career at WrestleMania 30. Number 2, beat Daniel Bryan at Royal Rumble after Bryan joined and then withdrew from the Wyatt family. Number 3, defeated John Cena in a steel cage match at Extreme Rules. Number 4, followed up Wyatt family assault of Kane by beating him with Eric Rowan and Luke Harper's help at SummerSlam. And number 5 was front and center on January 26th as the Wyatts Royal Rumble presence cost John Cena his World Heavyweight title against Randy Orton. So, I mean, this is the only time that Bray made the top 10. I went and looked back at the magazines over the last few years, and I mean, okay, so Bray Wyatt was WWE champion for 7 weeks. He was Universal champion twice, and I don't know, I guess that wasn't good enough to make the top 10 over the years as time went on. I don't get it, PWI. I don't get it. But I hope that stays open. There we go. The next one I found for Bray was in this edition here. This is June 2023 of the PWI. And it talks about the whole, remember when on the Raw anniversary, Undertaker and Bray had that talk where Undertaker whispered something to Bray. And it kind of gives you like a look back here at the history of Bray from the Wyatt family and to the Fiend and everything. And again, the Wyatt family was such a strong force in the WWE for like ever there, and they didn't have any stories. They didn't have any stories on the Wyatts in the magazines I was reading either. And I just, man, it makes me realize how shitty Pro Wrestling Illustrated is now and how horrible the writers are for that magazine. And if they end up seeing this, I don't care. I mean, you guys need to go back and look at what made wrestling magazines fun and exciting in the 80s and 90s. And it was about the disbelief of the stories that you were reading. You know, I get it. Wrestling isn't real in the sense that, you know, we know they're friends. We know they know who's going to win and lose the matches. But the storytelling to the match is real because you sit on the edge of your seat like you would a movie. You know, like if Tom Cruise in those Mission Impossible movies does all those crazy stunts, you sit there wondering how the hell he's doing it, or how did he not hurt himself, or what's going to happen next in the movie. That is the same with wrestling, and that is how it should be in wrestling magazines still. I don't care about, you know, reading about these indie stars that no one knows about. I want to hear stories. I want to hear about the WWE and AEW and the major feds, because that is what people are watching more so than the indies. And it seems like the wrestling magazine now caters to that genre of fan and not the typical casual, I just watch Monday Night Raw because I enjoy watching wrestling on a Monday night fan, right? And I think if they did, there would have been more stories of Bray Wyatt in these magazines. And it's a shame that there isn't, because the dude was gifted. He was smart to the business in every which way you can, maybe too smart, right? The guy was a little bit out there with his creativity. Maybe at a point that isn't right in this era of wrestling now. Maybe Bray would have been more suited for 1985 through 1995, right? With what he portrayed as a character and the zaniness of things that he did. Like I said, I liked the Bray Wyatt character in the Wyatt family. It was almost like a takeoff from Wail and Mercy, and I always liked Luke Harper. I was a big fan of Brody. And this goes way back to like when I first seen the guy wrestle in 2008 at a wrestling show in Ontario here, and I remember thinking, because he didn't have like the big beard at the time, and he was just kind of growing in it at the time, and his hair was like was shorter. But I thought he looked like Jason Lee, who was played Brody in Mallrats, the movie Mallrats, if you've seen that. And so I yelled out Snoochie Boochies to him or something like that, right? And Snoochie Boochies, Brody, man, I think I said. And Brody stopped the match, looked over at me, and gave me a thumbs up with a smile. He got it. He knew I got the reference to his name, being Brody Lee. And it was just, so I always liked him. And of course I liked Bray, just because of who his uncle and who his dad and who his grandfather, Black Jack Mulligan, right? It's just weird to think he's gone. And it's not, to me, it's not like, I'm not overly sad about it. Cause like I said, I'm not close to him. I just feel bad that he died so young when, he could have been around another 10, 15 years with his character. He didn't have to actually wrestle, right? He could have been like an Undertaker character, which seemed like he was doing anyways with the last few years of his life there in the WWE. So unfortunately, this is all I have for Bray Wyatt stuff, and I don't know, there's not really much else to say, right? He was a 3-time heavyweight champ in the WWE, tag champ with Randy Orton and with Matt Hardy. And I guess with Luke Harper too, right? They kind of had that Freebird rule, Orton, Bray, and Luke did. God, he was like kind of like in the main event at WrestleMania with Randy for the title a few years ago. I don't know. He was just a unique character and gone way too soon. So to all you Bray Wyatt fans out there, I am sorry that one of your favorites has passed and is no longer here. He definitely has a legacy that will be remembered, and I know all you fans out there will keep that legacy alive and keep his name alive, and I think that's very cool. But it just sucks in 2 days, right? We lose Terry Funk, and now we lose Bray Wyatt. They say deaths happen in threes. Geez. I don't know. I did hear that Rich, I can't think of his name. This is horrible. Rich Lundgren or something. He was an announcer for a wrestling, for some territory wrestling back in the 80s. He just died recently. Maybe that's the third that, no one unfortunately really knows about, because older fans would. I just saw it today on Instagram. I think it was on, I forget what it was, Classic Vintage Wrestling or something. One of those Instagram pages I follow, but they had a photo of him and a video of him or something talking about it. So maybe that's the third one. If not, then who knows who it might be coming up, right? Anyways, that's pretty much it for today. I know, what a ridiculous 2 days in a row. Let's hit like just sad videos. But hopefully the next video I do will be a little more exciting, a little more happy. But yeah, I guess I should close this by just saying, Bray Wyatt, the fans will miss you, and I hope when you went through the golden gates of heaven that Brody was there to give you a hug and welcome you home. And I think that's all that really needs to be said. So until I do another video, I'll talk to you guys later.